Chapter 6.1, which is solving quadratic equations. By factoring. So this uses what's called the zero product property. This is the algebra property that says if I have x plus a x plus b equal to 0, then x plus a is equal to 0 and x plus b is also equal to 0. And we can use those to solve for x. Now, all that the section requires is that you know how to factor. So x squared plus 12x plus 27. You will factor this. You look for two numbers that multiply to give 27 and add to give 12, which is 9 plus 9 and plus 3. By the way, this is an equation, so it's set equal to 0. Then use the zero product property to solve the equation. Take away 9, take away 9, so x is equal to negative 9. And then x plus 3 equals to 0. Take away 3, take away 3, so x is equal to negative 3. X squared plus 2x minus 24 is equal to 0. So two numbers that multiply to give negative 24 and add to give positive 2, x plus 6, x minus 2, negative 2 and positive. Negative 4 and positive 2. So 6 minus 4 is 2, and then 6 times negative 4 is 24. Then use the zero product property to get x is equal to negative 6. And x is equal to positive 4. If the equation is not set up equal to 0, then you'll have to make sure that it's set equal to 0 by performing whatever operation you need to. For example, in this case, I would add 13x to both sides. Then I would add 12 to both sides. So it's x squared plus 13x plus 12 equal to 0. Once the equation is set equal to 0, we proceed to factor it. X plus 12, x plus 1. So x plus 12 is equal to 0. X is equal to negative 12. And x plus 1 is equal to 0, so x is equal to negative 1. X into x plus 13 is equal to negative 22. So our first step here would be to distribute x into x plus 13. We have x squared plus 13x equals to negative 22. Then we want to go ahead and add 22 to both sides to give x squared plus 13x plus 22 is equal to 0. Two numbers that multiply to give 22 and add to give 13, x plus 11, x plus 2. So x is equal to negative 11 and x is equal to negative 2. X squared is equal to 14x minus 45. So order of operations here, you would take away 14x from both sides to give x squared minus 14x is equal to negative 45. Then add 45 to both sides to give x squared minus 14x plus 45 equals to 0. Then use your factoring skills to find two numbers that multiply to give positive 45, add to give negative 14, so negative 9, negative 5. X is equal to 9, x is equal to 5. Now, we also need to consider problems that have a trinomial, that are trinomials but have a coefficient in the front of the x squared that are greater than 1. For example, I've got 8x squared minus 6x minus 9 equals to 0. So I use the slide and divide method, which is x squared multiply 9 times 8, negative 9 times 8 to give minus 72. Looking for two numbers that multiply to give 72, negative 72, and add to give negative 6, which is negative 12 and positive 6. So don't set this equal to 0 right now because we move the 8 over to the 9. Now we multiply 8 times 9. So we have to go ahead now and divide by that 8 that we multiplied by to set things right. Reducing here, I have 12, negative 12 over 8, dividing both numerator and denominator by 4, I have negative 3 over 2, and 6 over 8 reducing becomes 3 over 4. Since these do not divide exactly, I go ahead and slide the 2 up here to give 2x minus 3. Then slide the 4 up here to give 4x plus 3 equal to 0. Now we have factored the equation. We can go ahead and set each binomial equal to 0 and solve for x. One solution. A little bit longer, and you absolutely have to keep your head on in the process and know what you're doing. I'm gonna take a few more examples with this. This is my problem. 3x squared minus 4x minus 7 is equal to 0. So 3 times negative 7 is negative 21 is equal to 0. Factoring, I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to give 21 and add to give 3. So add to give negative 4. So I know that those two factors are 7 and 3. The negative and positive, check. And then divide by 3. So in this case, the 3 doesn't reduce, so we simply take the 3 up to the x and get 3x minus 7. In the second case, the 3 cancels out and leaves 1. So we've got 3x minus 7 is equal to 0. 3x is equal to 7. X is equal to 7 over 3. And x plus 1 is equal to 0, so x is equal to negative 1. Other types of problems, so I've got, say, x squared is equal to 2x. So in this case, I would take away 2x from both sides to get x squared minus 2x is equal to 0. Factor out the x, I get x minus 2 is equal to 0. So x is equal to 0, that's one answer. And then x minus 2 is equal to 0, so x is equal to positive 2, second answer. Thirty-six x squared minus 49 equal to 0. So here I've established that this is a difference of squares, and we use the formula to factor differences squares. 6x plus 7, 6x minus 7 is equal to 0. Set 6x minus 7 equal to 0 and 6x, sorry, plus 7, this is plus 7 equal to 0. So 6x is equal to 7, so x is equal to 7 over 6. Then set 6x equal to negative 7, so x is equal to negative 7 over 6. Three x squared minus 18x plus 24 is equal to 0. So observe that in this equation, 3 can be factored out to give x squared minus 6x. 3 sixes are 18, 3 eights are 24, equal to 0. Then I need two numbers that multiply to give -6 and add to give +8, x minus 4, x minus 2. So I have x minus 4 equal to 0, so x is equal to 4. And x minus 2 is equal to 0, so x is equal to +2. Okay, one last example. If you drop a ball from the top of a 64-foot building, 64-foot building, after t seconds, the height ht is given by ht equals to -16 t squared plus 64. Question: how long does it take the ball to hit the ground? So the height of the ball when it hits the ground is equal to 0. So we're talking here about hitting the ground, the height ht equals to 0. So in order to solve this for time, we would set -16 t squared plus 64 equals to 0 and solve it. You want to go ahead and solve this by factoring out -16. That leaves t squared minus 4 equal to 0. Then factor t squared minus 4 to give t plus 2, t minus 2. Difference of squares. So t is equal to +2 and t is equal to -2. But remember that your time cannot be a negative number. We're talking about seconds, and you can only go forward in time. So time, ball will hit the ground after 2 seconds.